I think the Bears might be doing the coaching search right. And I know this is something that a lot of people are upset about because the list is now at 16, which is kind of crazy, especially because you have to get the cream of the crop that is Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel. But the reality is they can't hire Ben Johnson until the Lions are either eliminated or they win the Super Bowl. You can't hire somebody that is actively working for another NFL franchise, unless obviously it's in the offseason and it's a promotion, right? Like you go from a linebackers coach to an offensive coordinator, head coach. That's what's allowed. Now, I want to kind of defend the way the Bears are doing this. And typically I am kind of against the way that the Bears do things. I think it's all backwards. And optically, I mean, actually not optically, it is backwards, but when you look at how they handled, and I think they're approaching this from like an optical standpoint as well, and due to Ryan Poles, and I'll list out my reasons here. So last time this happened, when the Bears were on a coaching search, they interviewed coaches with an outside counsel. And they basically gave Poles a finalist of 3 names. It was Jim Caldwell, it was Dan Quinn, and it was Matt Eberflus. Now, Ryan Poles also did hand in a sheet on his possible coaches, and Eberflus was on there. So he's not completely absolved of the blame there. But basically, they had a list of finalists that Poles picked from his first time around. So I think the firing of Matt Eberflus in the middle of the season was, as much as Kevin McCaskey George McCaskey wants to deny that, they just, it just was circumstance that they did it. It's not like some big history. They were holding on to that. The Bears were definitely holding on to that. Everything that the Bears do is history. Everything the Bears do is tradition, or what they try to uphold with it. That was part of it, and they were pissed. So I think they like Ryan Poles a lot, but the Bears are in a position where they cannot give him any outs. Like, they can't give him any outs. So the way that I'm looking at this is, optically, it was bad last time because the Bears didn't really look at a ton of people, or Poles didn't look at a ton of people. And that was the talk for a long time. So now I feel like optically, okay, you may be annoyed that they're looking at David Shaw. I don't think he has a chance to get a head coaching job, but I'll get into why I understand why Bears fans are upset. At the end of the day, they can't hire Ben Johnson or any of these guys in the playoffs, have in-person interviews until January 20th. You might as well spend as much time as you can trying to go through these candidates. And I don't love it, but optically they're safe from, if they hire the wrong guy, they can say, well, we went through an exhaustive search. I think Poles probably wants Johnson because he understands, I would hope Poles would understand that the way for success in this league is to find a quarterback that can lead you places. And if you don't get a coach that's going to be able to develop Caleb Williams, you're really not going to go far. And I think Poles knows that. I think when we see the second round of interviews, we will get a better idea of what the Bears are actually trying to do. But I will say this. The second round and interviewing all these people scares me for the same reason it scares a lot of Bears fans, is they are scared that the Bears are going to sell themselves on somebody that has no right being the head coach next. And I understand that. But with that being said, I do think that, I don't want to say they're going to do the right thing, but I'm more confident than I have been in the past. I think they are locked in on Ben Johnson. And I think if they meet in the middle, I believe Ben Johnson will be the head coach. Now, that's going to depend on a lot of things, right? So Vrabel is just interviewed with the Bears today, and he's going to be interviewing with the Patriots tomorrow. We interview Ben Johnson, I believe it is Saturday. Hey, this is the current list of head coach candidates, right? We have Mike McCarthy, who was denied by the Cowboys, but hasn't been extended technically yet. So we could talk to him after January 14th if he's not extended. Iowa State head coach Matt Campbell, former Titans head coach Mike Vrabel, former Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll, previous Stanford head coach David Shaw, Lions OC Ben Johnson, Commanders OC Cliff Kingsbury, Giants OC Mike Kafka, Bills OC Joe Brady, Ravens OC Todd Monken, Cardinals OC Drew Petzing, Steelers OC Arthur Smith, Lions DC Aaron Glenn, Dolphins DC Anthony Weaver, Vikings DC Brian Flores, Broncos DC Vance Joseph. I just can't see realistically them selling a lot of that to the fan base. Now, they very well may try to do it. But with that being said, I mean, I think the way the Bears are conducting the search is the right way to do it this time around. Because if you were going to have a super short list, right? And let's say, for example, they have a list of 3 people, right? They have Joe Brady, they have Ben Johnson, and they have Mike Vrabel, right? Let's just say those are the 3. Okay, what happens if Vrabel goes to Las Vegas? I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to go to New England. And Ben Johnson goes to New England. Then you have Joe Brady left, and then maybe some other person you interviewed. Like, that's kind of the risk with hiring Ben Johnson is if you wait it out, a lot of these guys are going to be hired. Like, a lot of the top guys are already going to be hired. And it's just going to depend on if the Bears feel comfortable waiting, knowing that they have him in the bag. And I think that's why they're interviewing a lot of people. Now, with that being said, I think the Bears want to put it on Ryan Poles to thoroughly look through these people, because at the end of the day, when you look at Poles' history with hiring coaches, it has been pretty bad. And with Waldron, you can even see that it's like you made a big deal about being part of that search, and now you have to wear it. That can't be an Eberflus thing. Regardless if it was an Eberflus hire, if he picked him, whatever. You have to wear it because you were involved with it. And just to kind of close it out here, I think the Bears want Poles to make this decision. Like, the last conference with Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles, it was definitely looked like Kevin Warren was running the show. Now, when it was the most recent end of year press conference, George McCaskey, Kevin Warren, Poles all did press conferences. But Poles was first and in a room where they put him behind a podium. The other were kind of in the hallway with Kevin Warren and George McCaskey. And I feel like they separated themselves on purpose because they did a very bad job at telling the public who was actually running the search. They kept saying Poles, but there was a lot of stuff that just made it seem like he wasn't in control. That's what I think they tried to lay out here, especially with the top candidates having an issue with alignment from ownership and GMs. So I think a big thing here is the Bears want to show that, you know, they are separating that and Poles is empowered. But I also think they want Poles to make this pick, because if Poles makes the wrong pick, there's no excusing it, right? Whereas, like, if Warren were to make the pick or McCaskey were to make the pick, then Ryan Poles can come out and say, I didn't even pick him. And that could be his defense, regardless if he's fired or not. I think the Bears want this to be on Poles for better or for worse, unfortunately. That's just the position he's put himself in. But with that being said, I think the main thing is, like, Bears fans, like, you have a right to be skeptical and, like, upset. But at the end of the day, the process, you can't show me a hiring process that is 100% right. Like, these openings are done every year. There's openings every year. And there's not some I shouldn't say thorough. There's not some, like, 1, 2, 3 process that you do and it'll work. It's just not how it works. So I think I like what the Bears are doing this time, regardless if it's very annoying. But the reality is, if they didn't do this and they had a short list and they lost out on their top guys, then everyone would be like, well, you should have interviewed more. They have a lot of time. This is exactly what they should be doing. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been the Bear Cave. Be sure to subscribe. We go live every week, and we'll have more off-season content coming for you.